anyone who kind of doesn't know, the right to rent policy is basically part of the hostile environment, and it means that landlords have to check the immigration status of any prospective tenants. And any landlord who's found to have rented to someone without the required right to rent or the required immigration status can face a fine of up to £3,000 or a criminal sentence. So JCWI started working on right to rent in 2017 because we felt that we believed that it would cause discrimination, and we did a really big, extensive piece of research that found that it did indeed make it harder for people of colour and people with quote unquote foreign sounding names or accents to rent a property, as landlords who are kind of scared of making mistakes or just wanted to err on the side of caution would prefer to opt for renting to white people, British people and people with passports. So off the back of this research in 2019, we took our case to the High Court and won, which was great. The High Court agreed that the scheme caused racial discrimination and declared it unlawful. And as a result, it wasn't rolled out any further than England. So as it stands, the scheme is only in operation in England and not in Wales, Northern Ireland or Scotland. And that was because of that case. Then the government appealed. So in January 2020, we faced the Home Office again, this time in the Court of Appeal. And the outcome of the Court of Appeal was interesting and very disappointing in that they agreed that it caused racial discrimination, but they stopped short of declaring it unlawful. So they kind of felt that that discrimination could be justified, left it up to MPs to decide whether that was disproportionate. We obviously think that no discrimination is acceptable, so we took this to the Supreme Court, but they refused to have it seen there. So we are now basically, previously JCWI was always the client in this legal action, and now we're assisting Lee Day solicitors who have always represented us in this case. We're assisting them to take the case to the European Court of Human Rights, which is essentially a kind of last resort with the right to rent case. But because at the European Court of Human Rights, you can't have organisations acting as claimants, it has to be individuals. We're assisting them at the moment in trying to find suitable people who have been affected by right to rent in order to bring that case. So the good news is that the UK courts have already agreed that the scheme causes discrimination. So we're not trying to prove that at the European Court, but we are having to find people who can show that it's happened to them, and these are the kind of examples of where it can all go wrong. The bad news is, or maybe the difficult thing is that because of legal requirements, which I'm sure other people here will understand a lot more than I do, it basically means we can't target people who we think will have been affected by right to rent, which makes the whole thing a lot more difficult to find people. So we can't kind of go up to clients who we know have been affected or approach people who we think have been affected to ask if they want to act as a victim in the case. Instead, we have to only send out very generic messages or ask other organisations to send out generic messages informing them about the case and asking them if they think they might have been affected to reach out to Lee Day. So what would be brilliant is if people who work with clients or work with people they think, they could have been affected either on the basis of race or nationality. We've asked various organisations, so some people here might have already done this, to send out like a generic message to their clients. And I've got one drafted, so you wouldn't have to do that. So if people feel that's something that they'd be well placed to do, I'll drop my email address in the chat. And if you want to just drop me an email after, and I can send that generic message round. The initial deadline was the end of November, which is obviously very soon. But like, this isn't confirmed yet, but hearing from council, it sounds like we might have longer. But obviously we still would push people to kind of get in touch with Lee Day as soon as possible. As it stands, we have a few potential clients, and Lee Day are going through the kind of process of working out if any of them will definitely be able to act as victims in the case. So I can't say for sure yet where we're at with that. But that's kind of where we're at with all of it. So yeah, happy to answer any questions, as I'm not a lawyer, so the kind of legal side of things I might not be able to answer as well, but that's kind of everything that we've been doing so far and where we're going next with it. One other thing is that when you get to the European Court of Human Rights, this is a case that could take months or even years. So it's not going to be like we kind of take the appeal there and then expect to hear very shortly. So the kinds of people we're looking for are also people that would be kind of, it's not going to be loads of work on their end at all. It's mainly kind of providing a witness statement and having their name to this case, but it will have to be people that are quite comfortable with being involved in this for potentially a little while.